The storm hit without warning. Sparks flew from shattered conduits, and metal panels twisted in the air as the small alien outpost shuddered under the meteor strike. Lyra's boots skidded across the slick floor as she ducked beneath a falling beam. Her heart pounded, not from the danger, but from the soft, terrified cry she had heard over the chaos. It was faint at first, almost swallowed by the roar of alarms and explosions, but it tugged at her instincts. She skidded past debris, her hands scraping against jagged metal, searching for the source. Then she saw it, a tiny creature trapped under a collapsed support column. Its scales shimmered faintly, a weak glow like a dying star, and smoke curled around its small, trembling body. The baby dragon, no bigger than her forearm, hissed feebly, its golden eyes wide with fear. Lyra didn't pause. She gritted her teeth and grabbed a nearby pipe, leveraging it against the beam. Sparks flew as metal groaned under pressure. The dragon flinched, letting out a pitiful squeak, but Lyra held firm. Inch by inch she lifted the heavy debris. Her fingers burned and dust choked her lungs, but finally, the beam shifted enough for the dragon to wiggle free. As she reached out, the creature's glow pulsed faintly, almost like it was breathing with her. She hesitated, unsure if it would attack. The dragon's tiny wings twitched, and its head tilted curiously. It made a sound that was more like a question than a hiss. Lyra smiled, though her face was streaked with dirt and sweat. "It's okay," she whispered. "I won't let anything hurt you." A sudden explosion rocked the outpost, sending her sprawling backward. Sparks rained down, and a jagged piece of metal tumbled toward the baby dragon. Without thinking, Lyra lunged forward, scooping it into her arms just as the debris crashed to the floor beside them. The dragon shivered, pressing its small body against her chest. Its warmth surprised her, tiny but comforting like a living ember. She scrambled to her feet, the dragon cradled carefully. The outpost around her groaned and twisted with each aftershock. Broken panels slid across the floor, sending up clouds of dust. Through it all, the dragon's glow flickered nervously, leaving a faint trail in the air. It wasn't just light. The trail formed shapes she couldn't understand, almost like a pattern, a message she couldn't read. Lyra's mind raced. She had scavenged these ruins many times before, but she had never seen anything like this. The patterns moved faster when she held her hand near the creature, as if it was trying to communicate. Her pulse quickened, part fear, part awe. Could this little dragon understand her? Could it be intelligent? The floor beneath her shuddered again, and a loud hiss of air escaped from a damaged conduit. Sparks danced across the wet surface, and the smell of ozone filled her nose. She backed toward a safer corridor, scanning for falling debris. The dragon wriggled, letting out a tiny whine. Its wings were too small to lift it, but its gaze never left hers. In that moment, Lyra felt a bond forming, fragile but real. She was the only one who could help it survive. Then, without warning, a secondary explosion erupted closer to her. A massive piece of metal swung down from above, blocking the path she had intended to take. The dragon, startled, let out a sharp, bright pulse of light from its scales. The glow was stronger now, casting jagged shadows across the broken walls. Lyra's eyes widened. Whatever this creature was, it could defend itself in ways she didn't understand. She grabbed a nearby metal rod and shoved against the swinging panel, trying to create enough space to pass. The dragon chirped in protest, its tiny claws gripping her jacket. Sparks flew dangerously close, and she realized that if she didn't move fast, both of them could be trapped, or worse. Then the dragon did something she didn't expect. It flapped its tiny wings, barely lifting off, and the glow from its scales surged brighter, as if signaling her. Lyra froze, heart hammering. The glow wasn't random. It was deliberate. And the trail it left shimmered toward a gap in the debris, a narrow path they could take to escape. Lyra's eyes met the dragon's. A silent understanding passed between them. She nodded. "Lead the way," she whispered. Carefully, she followed the glowing trail, keeping the dragon pressed against her chest. Every step was a risk. The outpost moaned and twisted as if alive, threatening to crush them at any moment. And then, just as they reached the opening, the trail flickered violently and shot forward into a shadowed corner. Lyra froze, heart in her throat. Something moved there, something larger, unseen and dangerous. The dragon stiffened, hissing softly. Whatever it was waiting, and Lyra had no choice but to step toward it. She took a deep breath, tightened her grip on the dragon and moved forward. The air seemed to hum with tension, and the faint glow from the creature lit up shapes she couldn't yet understand. The next moment would decide everything. And then, something shifted in the shadows, and the dragon stiffened again, eyes wide as if recognizing a presence that made even it afraid. What waited in the darkness? Lyra had no idea. But she knew one thing: she wouldn't run. Lyra's heart hammered as she stared into the dark corner, the baby dragon pressed against her chest, its glow pulsing with nervous energy. The shadows twisted strangely, cast by the flickering lights of the damaged outpost. She could hear the faint hiss of escaping air and the distant groan of metal under stress, each sound reminding her that every second counted. She knew they couldn't stay here. Something in the shadows was moving, something alive, something watching. She swallowed her fear and stepped carefully forward, keeping the dragon secure in her arms. The glow from its scales reflected across the walls, revealing a narrow passage between two collapsed walls. Dust fell around her and tiny shards of metal bounced off the floor. The dragon let out a soft, almost questioning chirp and Lyra whispered, "It's okay. We can make it." She tried to keep her voice steady, though adrenaline made it shake. The passage was tight. She had to press herself against jagged walls to squeeze through. One wrong move and the metal could cut both of them. A loud crack echoed from behind them, and Lyra spun just in time to see a section of the ceiling tilt dangerously. Without thinking, she shoved the dragon against her chest, kicked a piece of debris, and it fell with a clatter, distracting whatever was lurking in the shadows. For a moment, the dark corner seemed empty again, but the feeling of being watched didn't leave. She didn't understand what she was dealing with. The baby dragon pulsed brighter now, and its tiny claws gripped her shirt tightly. It was trembling, but its eyes stayed locked on the shadow ahead. Lyra realized the creature was guiding her, somehow sensing the safest path through the wreckage. Suddenly, sparks rained from a damaged control panel, hissing onto the metal floor. Lyra jumped back, holding the dragon tightly, trying not to let it slip. Her fingers brushed against a loose wire, and an idea sparked in her mind. She grabbed a small reflective metal shard nearby, angling it toward the sparks. The light bounced across the corridor, creating moving shadows that confused the sensors of the outpost's still-active drones. A soft whir followed, and a tiny drone zipped past, missing her by inches. She exhaled sharply. The baby dragon chirped in response, glowing brighter as if proud of her clever move. Lyra felt a flicker of hope. If they could keep moving and stay smart, they might survive this. She tightened her grip, whispering, "We've got this, little one." Just a little further. The narrow corridor opened into a wider chamber, and for a second they both paused. Debris littered the floor and a faint green mist curled around broken machinery. Lyra's eyes widened. The mist smelled faintly metallic, almost alive. She instinctively held the dragon closer. It pulsed nervously but didn't hiss, like it recognized the danger and trusted her to lead. Then she noticed movement. Tiny shadows flitted through the mist, small creatures, alien in form with spindly limbs and glowing eyes. They weren't hostile yet, but their focus on the dragon was clear. Lyra's pulse quickened. These creatures were drawn to its glow, but she didn't understand why. If the dragon didn't move quickly, it could be surrounded. She scanned the room for options and spotted a collapsed support beam forming a narrow ramp on the side. She gestured to the dragon. "This way. Come on." Carefully she edged toward it, balancing on loose debris. The alien creatures started moving closer, their glowing eyes intensifying, almost hypnotic. The dragon chirped sharply, its wings fluttering. Lyra knew it was scared, but it still followed her. Halfway up the ramp, a piece of metal shifted beneath her foot. She stumbled, letting out a sharp cry. The creatures hissed in response, sensing vulnerability. Instinct took over. She grabbed a hanging cable and swung herself and the dragon up, landing just inside a safer corridor. She gasped for breath, her arms shaking, but the dragon was safe, tucked against her chest. The corridor narrowed again, but this time she noticed something strange. The dragon's glow reacted to her proximity, forming shapes in the air, lines, dots, almost like a code. Lyra blinked. Could it be trying to tell her something? Her mind raced. Maybe this little creature wasn't just scared. Maybe it was intelligent, more than she had imagined. She had to pay attention or they wouldn't survive. A low hum filled the chamber behind her, growing louder. The alien creatures weren't chasing, they were waiting. The hum vibrated through the floor and walls. Lyra froze. She realized it was connected to the outpost's damaged systems. If she didn't act, the hum could trigger a collapse or worse, alert more drones. Her mind raced. She looked around, searching for anything to disrupt it. She spotted a small metallic box, cracked and sparking. Taking a risk, she kicked it, sending it spinning into a pool of green mist. Sparks flew and the hum wavered, weakening for a moment. The creatures hissed in confusion. The dragon chirped excitedly, pulsing brighter than before. Lyra smiled, exhausted but relieved. Small victories mattered. Every clever move kept them alive another second. The chamber ahead opened into a brighter area. Natural light filtered through a crack in the ceiling. Lyra's chest tightened with hope. They might just make it out of the ruins. But before she could take a step forward, the dragon stiffened in her arms. Its glow surged violently, casting jagged shadows across the walls. Lyra's stomach dropped. Something large moved in the light, a shape she couldn't yet make out, but it was alive, massive, and aware of them. The dragon let out a sharp, urgent chirp, pressing closer to her. Lyra's hand tightened around it. Whatever was coming, it was bigger than anything they had faced. She swallowed hard, her mind racing for a plan. There was no turning back, and the next move would decide everything. Then the shape shifted suddenly and a deep, guttural sound echoed through the chamber. Lyra froze. The baby dragon's glow flared bright enough to light the walls, and in that instant she saw eyes. Many eyes. Watching. Calculating. Waiting. Lyra knew one thing for certain. They were not alone. And this encounter was only the beginning. Lyra's grip tightened on the baby dragon as the massive shape shifted, revealing a hulking alien creature partially hidden in the shadows. Its skin was dark and slick, almost like liquid metal, and its eyes glowed with a faint red light. She froze, heart pounding. Every instinct screamed danger, but she couldn't let fear stop her. The dragon chirped softly as if sensing her hesitation, its glow flickering in rhythm with its tiny heartbeat. The creature stepped closer, each movement deliberate. The floor vibrated beneath Lyra's boots. Dust and debris shook loose from the ceiling, rattling around them. She realized immediately, the baby dragon's glow wasn't just beautiful, it was acting as a signal. The massive creature seemed drawn to it, studying it as carefully as she had studied the hatchling. Lyra's mind raced. She couldn't fight something that big. Not directly. But she could think and she could act fast. Slowly, she edged backward, keeping her eyes on the alien while shielding the dragon with her body. "It's okay," she whispered, hoping her voice sounded calm, even though her chest felt like it would burst. "We're not a threat." The alien paused, its glowing eyes scanning them. Then, as if deciding, it stopped advancing. Its head tilted slightly, almost like it was trying to communicate, or understand. Lyra's pulse quickened. Could it sense the bond between her and the baby dragon? Could it recognize intelligence in the small creature? She glanced around the chamber for anything that could help. Her eyes fell on a cracked panel sparking faintly, leaking low green mist across the floor. Something about it seemed wrong. The mist swirled unnaturally, and as she watched, she noticed tiny shapes moving within it, small, insect-like creatures, alien spores maybe, reacting to the presence of the larger creature and the dragon. The hum began again, low but growing, vibrating through the walls. Lyra realized that the spores and the outpost's remaining systems were linked. The hum was not random, it was a control signal. These spores weren't just drifting, they were being commanded. If the alien sensed the dragon's glow, maybe it could control the spores too. The stakes rose instantly. This wasn't just a threat from one creature, it could become a swarm. Thinking fast, Lyra spotted a reflective shard on the floor. She grabbed it and angled it toward the sparks from the panel. The light bounced across the walls, scattering shadows, and the alien hesitated. The spores twitched, confused by the sudden flashes of light. The creature let out a low, vibrating sound, and the green mist recoiled slightly. Lyra's chest rose and fell. Small victory. They were buying time. The baby dragon chirped urgently and flapped its tiny wings, glowing brighter with each beat. Lyra realized it was trying to guide her through the chaos. She followed the flickering light trail, moving quickly but cautiously across the debris-strewn chamber. Every step was dangerous. Loose panels shifted under her weight, and she could hear the distant screech of the outpost straining under its damage. They reached a narrow ledge above the mist, precarious and slick. Lyra steadied herself, the dragon nestled against her chest. She could feel its tiny claws digging into her jacket. "Almost there," she whispered, though her throat was dry and her voice shaky. The alien below shifted again, scanning, and a low rumble reverberated through the floor. She had no choice but to move forward. A sudden flicker caught her eye. A section of the ceiling above the alien's path had cracked loose. Debris teetered dangerously. Without hesitation, Lyra kicked a loose panel. It crashed down, creating a loud clatter that echoed across the chamber. The alien froze, its attention momentarily broken. Lyra seized the moment, sprinting across the ledge. The dragon's glow left a faint trail in the air, guiding them like a living beacon. For a moment, relief washed over her. They were ahead of the alien. But the relief didn't last. The baby dragon let out a sharp, urgent chirp and Lyra froze. Its glow pulsed violently, forming shapes she couldn't understand. Lines, dots, patterns that seemed deliberate. Her pulse raced. The dragon wasn't just scared, it was sending a signal, maybe even a warning. Lyra glanced down and realized the mist wasn't just drifting, it was moving toward them, reacting to the dragon's glow. Tiny spores lifted from the floor, swirling upward in a slow, purposeful dance. They seemed alive, controlled by something. The massive creature had not followed them yet, but these spores were tracking the dragon and they were closing in. Her mind snapped to action. She grabbed a pipe nearby, slamming it against a wall to create a loud clanging distraction. The spores scattered slightly, confused by the sudden noise. The dragon chirped, and for a brief second, it glowed even brighter, almost as if thanking her. Lyra realized that the baby dragon's glow could influence the environment. It wasn't just beautiful, it was powerful. Breathing hard, she scanned for an escape. Ahead, a partially collapsed hatch led to another corridor. It was risky, narrow and unstable, but it was the only chance. She moved quickly, the dragon clutched tightly, guiding them by instinct. Every step made the spores shift and hiss, and the alien's glowing eyes followed, calculating, waiting. Just as they neared the hatch, a section of the wall above them groaned and cracked. Dust rained down and a shard of metal fell dangerously close. The dragon squeaked, flaring its glow, and Lyra instinctively pushed it out of the way. Sparks flew and the metal missed them by inches. Her heart pounded, but she felt a surge of adrenaline. This tiny creature, trembling moments ago, was now actively protecting them. Lyra scrambled through the hatch, ducking low. Behind her, she could hear the alien creature's movement, the hiss of spores and the groaning of the outpost. Ahead, the corridor twisted into darkness. The baby dragon's glow flickered, leaving a trail for her to follow. She realized something extraordinary. This creature wasn't just alive, it was learning, reacting, and guiding them. And then, from deep in the shadows, a new sound echoed, a metallic screech unlike anything she had heard before. The spores quivered, the alien paused, and the baby dragon's glow pulsed violently, almost in panic. Lyra's stomach dropped. Whatever was ahead, it wasn't just another corridor. Something bigger, more dangerous, was waiting for them and she had no idea what it could be. She swallowed hard, tightened her grip on the dragon and whispered, "We'll face it together." The glow pulsed once more, brighter than before, illuminating shapes in the darkness that shouldn't exist. Lyra's heart pounded as she stepped forward, and the shadows ahead moved in ways that made her blood run cold. What had they just walked into? And could they survive what was coming next? Lyra's heart thudded in her chest as she stepped into the dark corridor, the baby dragon clutched tightly against her. Its glow pulsed erratically, lighting jagged shapes on the walls. The metallic screech from deep within the shadows had stopped, leaving a tense silence that pressed on her ears. Every instinct screamed that something huge was waiting ahead, something far more dangerous than the alien or the spores they had just escaped. The corridor narrowed, forcing her to stoop. Loose panels shifted under her boots, and she could feel the vibrations of something moving just beyond the walls. The baby dragon's tiny claws dug into her jacket, and it let out a soft, urgent chirp. Lyra understood immediately, the creature was warning her. It could sense the threat, but she had no clear idea what it was. Ahead, the corridor opened into a massive chamber. Lyra's breath caught. The space was unlike anything she had ever seen, a cathedral-like hall of metal and glass, twisted and fractured by the meteor storm. Pools of green mist bubbled from the floor, and shadows danced across the jagged walls. And there, in the center, was a massive alien entity. Its body shimmered like molten metal, eyes glowing deep red, and tentacle-like appendages stretched outward, probing the room. The spores that had followed them swirled in the air, almost like a living storm, moving in sync with the alien's motions. Lyra realized that the creature wasn't alone. The mist, the spores, the chamber itself, they were all part of the threat. The baby dragon's glow pulsed wildly, and Lyra felt a surge of fear and awe. This was beyond anything she had faced before. She had no weapon, no shield, only her mind and the dragon. She pressed the creature closer to her chest and whispered, "We can do this. Trust me." The dragon responded with a sharp chirp and flared its wings, casting a brilliant light that bounced across the walls. The glow wasn't just light, it seemed to disrupt the alien's connection to the spores. They twisted and recoiled as the glow pulsed. Lyra realized this was their advantage. Acting quickly, she scanned the chamber. A jagged pile of broken machinery sat near one side. If she could use it as leverage, she might create a barrier between them and the alien. Carefully, she lifted a long metallic beam, balancing it against a column. Sparks flew as it wobbled, but she managed to wedge it in place. The alien hissed, its tentacles lashing outward. One struck the beam, bending it violently, but it held, for now. The baby dragon's glow intensified in response to Lyra's efforts. She noticed patterns in the light, lines, symbols, shapes forming and dissolving. It was more than instinct. The dragon was signaling, almost strategizing. Lyra's heart surged. This tiny creature, once helpless and trembling, was now actively guiding them. She followed its lead, dodging falling debris, weaving around swirling spores and inching closer to the exit at the far end of the chamber. The alien screeched, a sound that rattled her bones, and surged toward them. The floor shook beneath its steps. Lyra's mind raced. She couldn't fight it head-on. She had to be smart. Spotting a loose cable hanging from the ceiling, she grabbed it, spinning herself toward the alien's path. Sparks flew as she yanked it, creating a small electrical discharge. The alien recoiled, tentacles jerking back. The spores whirled chaotically, losing cohesion. Small victory, but not enough. The dragon chirped loudly, flaring its glow once more, and suddenly the symbols in the air intensified. Lyra blinked. The light formed a path, safe spaces amidst the chaos. Without hesitation, she ran, following the glowing trail while holding the dragon tight. Each step was a gamble. The floor shuddered, debris threatened to crush them, and the alien recovered from the electrical shock, lashing its appendages toward them. Lyra's breath came in short gasps, sweat streaming down her face. She realized that the alien wasn't just attacking. It was calculating, learning from their movements. She had to act faster. Spotting a pile of broken panels ahead, she grabbed one and hurled it toward the alien. It struck its tentacle, sending sparks and smoke into the air. The alien recoiled, momentarily distracted. The baby dragon chirped in delight, its glow flaring brighter as if approving her plan. Together, they dashed across the chamber. Lyra's boots slipped on the slick surface, but she didn't falter. Every obstacle she overcame, every quick decision she made, bought them precious seconds. The baby dragon's light flickered in sync with her heartbeat, a tiny beacon in the dark chaos. It nudged her forward, guiding her with intelligence she hadn't expected. Finally, they reached the far side of the chamber, where a partially collapsed hatch led to another corridor. Lyra hesitated, glancing back. The alien had recovered, its tentacles thrashing, and the spores were regrouping. She tightened her grip on the dragon. "Almost there," she whispered, determination burning in her chest. She swung the dragon toward the hatch, then climbed through herself. The dragon chirped, squeezing close to her, and its glow lit the corridor ahead. The alien screeched, slamming a tentacle against the chamber wall, sending metal flying. Lyra barely had time to duck. Sparks rained down, but they were through, just. Breathing heavily, she pressed the dragon against her chest. "We made it," she said, though her voice trembled. The baby dragon chirped softly in response, wings flaring slightly. For a brief moment they were safe. But the relief was fleeting. Ahead, the corridor twisted into darkness, and a faint pulsing light appeared from a crack in the wall. The dragon's glow flared violently, forming patterns she couldn't comprehend. Lyra's heart leapt. The patterns weren't just random, they were pointing, guiding. But toward what? A low rumble echoed from behind. The alien had not given up. Its screech pierced the walls, and the spores swirled violently as if preparing for another attack. Lyra's stomach clenched. Whatever lay ahead was more than an exit. It was a test, a challenge she hadn't expected. She glanced at the dragon, now trembling but glowing brighter than ever. Its tiny body radiated warmth and strength. Lyra took a deep breath, steadying herself. They had survived impossible odds, outsmarted the alien, and navigated the deadly spores. But the hardest part was yet to come. She whispered, "We can do this," holding the dragon close. Its glow pulsed in agreement, casting shadows across the walls. Then, without warning, the pulsing light from the crack ahead shifted, revealing a massive, swirling portal of energy. Lyra froze. The alien, the spores, the entire outpost, the danger, they were nothing compared to this. Her pulse surged. The baby dragon stiffened, wings spread, glow blazing. Together they faced a mystery that could change everything. And in that instant, Lyra understood. Their journey was far from over. Whatever lay beyond that portal would test every ounce of courage, intelligence, and determination they possessed. The dragon chirped loudly as if daring her to move forward. Lyra tightened her grip, squared her shoulders, and stepped closer. What waited on the other side? She didn't know. But she knew one thing for certain: they would face it together. Lyra's boots crunched against the broken floor as she stepped through the portal, the baby dragon clutched tightly in her arms. Its glow, once frantic and erratic, had settled into a steady pulse, lighting their path through the swirling mist of colors that surrounded them. The portal hummed softly, vibrating through her chest, and the sensation made her stomach twist. She didn't know where they had landed, or what awaited them, but she knew one thing: the dragon trusted her and she couldn't fail it now. As the mist cleared, they found themselves in a quiet, green valley. The air was crisp, carrying a faint floral scent that made Lyra take a shaky breath. The valley seemed untouched by the chaos of the outpost, calm, serene, and impossibly beautiful. Sunlight streamed through floating crystal formations, casting prisms of color across the grass. Lyra's eyes widened. She had never seen anything like it. The baby dragon's glow flickered softly, and it chirped with a sound of wonder. For the first time since the meteor storm, Lyra felt a flicker of relief. But relief didn't last. Around them, shapes moved in the distance, small creatures with shimmering wings like tiny versions of the dragon. They watched cautiously, hovering just beyond reach. Lyra understood quickly: this wasn't just a safe haven. It was a home, a hidden ecosystem, possibly the dragon's origin. And the tiny dragon in her arms chirped sharply, its wings flaring as if warning her to be careful. Lyra knelt gently in the grass, keeping the dragon close. She extended a hand slowly. "It's okay," she whispered. "We're friends." The dragon blinked, then nudged her hand, pressing its small, warm body against her fingers. Its glow pulsed brighter in response, as if confirming a bond, and Lyra felt a rush of hope. Here, in this strange and beautiful world, the dragon could finally be safe, and maybe even grow into its strength. She looked around, taking in the valley. Small streams of sparkling water wound through the grass, and trees with translucent leaves swayed gently. Strange alien birds with elongated wings soared above. Lyra realized she was witnessing something rare, something extraordinary. And somehow, in the chaos of the outpost and the alien threat, she had guided this fragile creature to a place it belonged. A soft chirp drew her attention. The baby dragon pulsed its glow and turned toward a cluster of the tiny creatures that had been watching. Hesitantly, it stepped forward, wings twitching. One of the smaller creatures approached, circling the baby dragon curiously. Lyra held her breath. The creature's wings shimmered in the sunlight, and for a tense moment, it seemed like the dragon might back away in fear. Instead, it chirped again, a confident, playful sound. The tiny creature returned the gesture, and then the others joined. A pattern of glowing pulses formed between them, almost like a conversation in light. Lyra's eyes widened. The baby dragon wasn't just communicating, it was learning, connecting, understanding its new world. Her heart swelled. She had helped it survive, and now it was thriving, forming bonds she couldn't have imagined. Lyra sat in the grass, the dragon resting against her chest. She stroked its tiny head, feeling the warmth and the steady pulse of its glowing scales. "You're safe now," she whispered. "No one will hurt you again." The dragon chirped softly, wings flicking, and nuzzled her neck. It was a small gesture, but it carried a weight of trust and gratitude that made Lyra's eyes water. But even as she savored the moment, her mind raced. The portal behind them still hummed faintly, pulsating with energy. It hadn't closed. And she realized something chilling. If this was a hidden sanctuary, then someone, or something, had created the portal for a purpose. The outpost, the alien, the spores, it hadn't been random. Someone had been testing, watching, controlling. The baby dragon chirped again, its glow flaring in response to her thoughts. Lyra understood. Whatever force had brought them here might still be out there, and the dragon could hold the key. Its intelligence, its glowing patterns, its ability to guide her, they weren't accidental. The creature was extraordinary, and the portal hinted at bigger mysteries beyond this world. Lyra's resolve hardened. She wasn't going to hide in this valley. She would protect the dragon, learn its secrets, and face whatever came next. The bond between them was strong, and together, they could survive challenges she hadn't even imagined yet. The valley was a moment of peace, yes, but it was also the beginning of something larger, something that could test every ounce of courage, intelligence, and determination she possessed. The tiny dragon nudged her hand again, glowing brighter as if emphasizing the thought. Lyra smiled through the tension. "All right," she whispered. We'll face it together. Whatever comes next, we'll be ready. As she looked out across the valley, a faint shimmer caught her eye at the edge of the horizon. A distant glint, like crystal or metal, pulsing in time with the baby dragon's glow. Lyra's heart skipped a beat. That light wasn't natural and it wasn't part of the valley. Whatever it was calling them, promising danger, mystery, and adventure beyond anything she had faced so far. The baby dragon chirped once more, wings flaring, tiny claws gripping her shoulder. Lyra took a deep breath, chest tightening with anticipation. She had restored hope to a broken creature, guided it through impossible odds, and survived threats that should have ended them both. But this shimmer on the horizon, was something new, bigger, unknown. Lyra tightened her grip on the dragon and rose to her feet, determination burning in her chest. Together they would step forward into the unknown, ready for whatever challenges awaited. The valley was only the first chapter. Beyond it, a larger world, filled with mystery and danger, awaited them both. The dragon's glow pulsed one final time in that moment, stronger than ever, as if promising that they would face the future together. Lyra met its gaze and whispered, "Let's go. We've got a world to discover." And with that, they moved toward the shimmering horizon, leaving safety behind, stepping boldly into the adventure that awaited beyond the valley.